Welcome to the Oracle's Rest, a place where stories unfold slowly, where time softens, and where the mind is free to wander. Tonight, we turn inward, not toward distant stars or ancient civilizations or frozen landscapes beneath the aurora, but toward something far stranger, the human body, a living system of electricity, memory, chemical signals, silent rhythms, and constant transformation. A structure so familiar to us that we rarely stop to consider how mysterious it truly is. Right now, as you listen quietly in the darkness, your heart continues beating without instruction. Your lungs expand and soften automatically. Millions of cells are dying and being replaced. Electrical signals move silently through your nervous system. And somewhere deep inside your brain, entire networks of neurons are creating the experience you call consciousness. The human body is not still. It is never still, even in sleep, even in silence, even in darkness. It remains active, alive, and endlessly changing beneath the surface of awareness. So tonight, we will slowly explore 100 sleepy facts about the human body, its hidden systems, its strange abilities, its quiet nightly work, and the remarkable reality of being alive at all. So, settle in gently and let us drift inward into the quiet universe beneath your skin. The average adult human body contains roughly 37 trillion cells. That number is so enormous, it becomes difficult to truly imagine. Trillions upon trillions of tiny living structures, all working together continuously. Some cells carry oxygen, some build bone, some transmit electrical signals, some defend against infection, others line your stomach, form your skin, or help create memory inside your brain. And most of these cells are microscopic, invisible to the naked eye, entire living worlds, existing quietly inside you at this very moment. But strangely, not all the cells associated with your body are actually human. The human microbiome contains enormous populations of bacteria, fungi, and microorganisms living throughout the digestive system, skin, mouth, and airways. Many of these organisms are helpful. Some assist digestion, others influence immune function. Some even appear connected to mood and mental health. Inside every human body exists an entire ecosystem of microscopic life, interacting constantly with the nervous system, immune system, and metabolism. You are not a single organism in the simple way people once imagined. You are something closer to a living collaboration. Your skin is the largest organ in the human body. It forms a protective barrier between your internal systems and the outside world. But skin is not simply wrapping. It regulates temperature, detects pressure, responds to pain, stores sensory information, produces vitamin D from sunlight exposure, and continuously repairs itself throughout life. The outermost layer of skin is constantly shedding microscopic dead cells. In fact, much of the dust inside homes contains tiny fragments of human skin drifting invisibly through the air. Even now, your body is slowly renewing its surface layer without you noticing. Human bones also appear far more still than they truly are. Most people imagine the skeleton as rigid and inactive, but bone is living tissue. Blood vessels move through it. Cells continuously remove old bone and replace it with new material. And inside certain bones, your body produces blood cells within soft tissue called bone marrow. The skeleton is not dead structure. It is active architecture, alive, changing constantly beneath the surface. Your brain contains approximately 86 billion neurons. Each neuron forms connections with thousands of others through tiny junctions called synapses. The result is a network of staggering complexity. Thoughts, memories, dreams, language, emotions, all emerge from patterns of electrical and chemical activity moving across these networks. And remarkably, the brain itself contains no pain receptors. The organ responsible for processing pain cannot directly feel pain itself. The human brain also runs almost entirely on electricity. Tiny electrical impulses move between neurons constantly, allowing information to travel through the nervous system at astonishing speeds. Some nerve signals move faster than 200 miles per hour. And yet, despite this incredible activity, the brain operates using only about as much power as a dim household light bulb. A soft glow of electricity inside the darkness of the skull. Your heart begins beating astonishingly early during development. Before a fetus has fully formed hands, feet, or recognizable facial features, the primitive heart already begins rhythmic contractions. And once it starts, it may continue beating more than 2.5 billion times across an average lifetime. Most of these beats happen without conscious awareness, quietly, steadily, day after day, night after night. The human body also creates its own internal sense of time. Deep within the brain, structures help regulate circadian rhythms. the biological cycles influencing sleep, hormone release, temperature, and alertness. These internal clocks respond strongly to light exposure. Sunrise and sunset help synchronize the body's rhythms with the outside world. But even in darkness, the body continues tracking time internally. Hormones rise and fall. Temperature shifts. Sleep pressure builds gradually across the day. Inside you, invisible clocks continue ticking silently through every hour of your life. Breathing is one of the few bodily systems that exists both automatically and voluntarily. Most of the time, you breathe unconsciously. Your nervous system regulates oxygen and carbon dioxide levels without requiring thought. And yet, at any moment, you can suddenly become aware of your breathing and alter it intentionally. Slow breaths, fast breaths, deep breaths, shallow breaths. This unusual overlap between conscious and unconscious control may help explain why breathing exercises can strongly influence emotion and stress. Breath forms a bridge between voluntary awareness and automatic bodily function, a doorway between mind and body. The stomach contains acid powerful enough to break down food efficiently, including tough proteins and harmful microorganisms. Hydrochloric acid inside the stomach is extremely corrosive. And yet, the stomach usually avoids digesting itself because it continuously regenerates its protective lining. This lining renews rapidly to defend underlying tissue from damage. The human body survives partly through constant repair. Cells replacing cells, tissue rebuilding tissue. Quiet maintenance happening endlessly beneath awareness. Your liver performs hundreds of different functions. It helps process nutrients, stores energy, breaks down toxins, produces important proteins, supports digestion, and filters blood moving through the body. The liver is also one of the few human organs capable of significant regeneration. Even after partial damage, liver tissue can regrow remarkably well under certain conditions. Inside the body exists an extraordinary capacity for repair and adaptation. The human nervous system extends throughout nearly the entire body. Signals move constantly between brain, spinal cord, organs, muscles, and skin. Touching something warm, hearing distant music, feeling cold air, remembering a childhood moment, all involve electrical communication moving across intricate neural pathways. Your experience of reality depends entirely on these signals. Without them, the world would vanish into silence and darkness. And yet, Despite all modern science has discovered, consciousness itself remains deeply mysterious. How does electrical activity inside the brain become subjective experience? How does matter become awareness? Why does the brain produce dreams, emotion, memory, and the feeling of being alive? No one fully knows. Even now, the human mind remains one of the greatest mysteries ever encountered by the human mind itself. And somewhere beneath your thoughts tonight, your heart continues beating softly. Your lungs rise and fall in darkness. Neurons flicker silently inside your sleeping brain, and trillions of living cells continue their quiet work beneath the surface of awareness. Your body is also constantly listening, even now, while you rest quietly in the dark. Millions of sensory receptors throughout your body continue gathering information from the world around you. Tiny receptors in the skin detect pressure, vibration, warmth, and cold. Cells deep inside the ears monitor balance and movement. Light-sensitive structures in the eyes continue responding even through closed eyelids. And throughout the body, nerves transmit streams of information upward toward the brain every second. Most of this information never reaches conscious awareness. The brain filters enormous amounts of sensory input continuously. If it did not, ordinary existence would feel overwhelming. Instead, the nervous system quietly decides what deserves attention and what fades silently into the background. The feeling of clothing against your skin, the pressure of gravity beneath your body, the sound of distant air moving through a room. Your brain learns to ignore countless details so that consciousness remains manageable. Reality, as humans experience it, is already heavily edited before awareness ever notices it. Vision itself is far stranger than most people realize. Human eyes do not directly see objects in the simple way people often imagine. Instead, light enters the eye and strikes specialized cells in the retina called rods and cones. These cells convert light into electrical signals. The brain then interprets those signals into the experience of color, shape, depth, and movement. In other words, the world you experience visually is actually constructed inside the brain. Color itself does not physically exist in the external world in the way humans perceive it. Different wavelengths of light strike the eye, and the nervous system transforms them into the sensation of blue skies, green forests, golden sunlight, and pale moonlight on snow. The human experience of reality is partly interpretation, a carefully assembled internal model built from electrical information. The eyes are also never truly still, even while staring at a fixed object. Tiny involuntary movements called microsaccades continue occurring constantly. Without these movements, visual perception would begin fading. The brain requires subtle motion to maintain stable awareness of the visual world. And during sleep, the eyes sometimes begin moving rapidly beneath closed eyelids during REM sleep. Rapid eye movement sleep is strongly associated with vivid dreaming. During these periods, the brain becomes highly active, while the body remains largely immobilized. The sleeping mind enters strange internal landscapes, while the body lies still in darkness. Scientists still do not fully understand why dreams occur. Yet every night, billions of human beings drift into temporary worlds created entirely inside the brain. Memory itself physically changes the structure of the nervous system. Every time you learn something new, certain neural connections strengthen while others weaken. The brain constantly reshapes itself based on experience. This ability is known as neuroplasticity. Your thoughts, habits, emotions, and experiences gradually alter the architecture of your own brain over time. In a sense, every human life physically sculpts the nervous system from within. The brain you have today is not identical to the brain you had years ago. Experience leaves biological traces. Even emotions produce measurable physical changes throughout the body. Fear increases heart rate and releases stress hormones. Embarrassment can trigger flushing of the skin. Sadness alters breathing patterns. Anxiety changes muscle tension. Love and attachment influence neurochemistry. The boundary between mind and body is far less separate than humans once believed. Thoughts affect biology. Biology affects thought. The two systems remain deeply interconnected at all times. Your body also generates heat constantly. Every living cell produces small amounts of energy through metabolism, combined across trillions of cells. This creates enough heat to maintain stable body temperature despite changing environments. Humans are warm creatures moving through a colder world, and maintaining that warmth requires enormous continuous activity beneath awareness. The average human body temperature hovers around 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit, though it naturally fluctuates throughout the day. Interestingly, body temperature often decreases slightly during sleep as part of circadian regulation. The body slowly prepares itself for rest by shifting internal chemistry and temperature rhythms. Blood vessels inside the human body form an astonishing network. If stretched end to end, the blood vessels of a single adult human would extend tens of thousands of miles. Arteries carry oxygen-rich blood away from the heart. Veins return blood back again. Tiny capillaries deliver oxygen and nutrients directly to cells throughout tissues and organs. Every second, blood moves continuously through this vast hidden landscape beneath the skin. Your body is filled with rivers. The heart itself is also electrically coordinated. Specialized cells generate rhythmic electrical impulses that synchronize muscular contractions. This system allows the heart to beat in organized patterns automatically, often without conscious awareness, for an entire lifetime. And remarkably, the sound humans recognize as a heartbeat is not the muscular contraction itself. The familiar lub-dub sound comes primarily from valves closing inside the heart as blood moves through its chambers. A lifetime of quiet internal rhythms, echoing invisibly beneath the ribs. Human beings also contain surprisingly large amounts of water. Roughly 60% of the adult human body consists of water. The brain, blood, muscles, and organs all depend heavily on fluid balance. Water helps transport nutrients, regulate temperature, support chemical reactions, and maintain cellular structure. Without it, the body rapidly begins losing stability. Humans often think of themselves as solid physical beings, but biologically, much of the body is fluid in motion. Even your sense of self depends heavily on fragile biological processes. Damage to certain regions of the brain can alter personality, language, memory, emotional regulation, or perception of reality itself. Some neurological conditions can cause people to lose recognition of familiar faces. Others alter the ability to form new memories. Some affect the perception of time, space, or identity. The human mind feels stable from the inside, yet it emerges from delicate biological systems vulnerable to injury, chemistry, and disease. This realization can feel unsettling, but also strangely beautiful. Consciousness is precious precisely because it is temporary, fragile, and deeply biological. Your immune system performs constant surveillance throughout the body. Specialized cells move through tissues searching for bacteria, viruses, and abnormal cellular behavior. Most of this activity happens silently. Tiny battles unfold constantly beneath awareness. Cells communicate chemically. Signals trigger inflammation. Antibodies recognize specific threats. The body protects itself through layers of defense operating continuously day and night. And sometimes immune cells retain memory of past infections for years, allowing faster responses in the future. The body remembers, even at microscopic levels. Inside the digestive system, trillions of microorganisms continue interacting with the nervous system in ways scientists are still trying to understand. Some researchers now refer to the gut as a second brain because of its extensive neural networks and chemical signaling. The digestive system contains hundreds of millions of neurons. It produces neurotransmitters connected to mood and behavior, and signals from the gut appear capable of influencing stress, emotion, and cognition. The human body is not organized into isolated systems. Everything communicates. Everything influences everything else. Sleep itself may be one of the body's most mysterious biological needs. Humans spend nearly 1/3 of life asleep, and despite modern science, researchers still debate exactly why sleep became so essential across evolution. During sleep, memories reorganize, hormones shift, cells repair damage. The brain clears metabolic waste through specialized fluid movement. Emotional processing changes. Dreams emerge, and consciousness temporarily dissolves into darkness before returning again each morning. Every night, human beings willingly surrender awareness for hours at a time, trusting the body to continue breathing, continue regulating the heart, continue maintaining life quietly beneath sleep. And somewhere now, beneath your own thoughts, electrical signals continue flickering through the darkness of the brain. Blood moves softly through hidden rivers beneath the skin. Cells divide quietly in silence. And the strange, living universe inside your body continues its endless work beneath the surface of awareness. Your body is also far quieter than it seems. Most people imagine the body through movement, walking, speaking, breathing, heartbeat. But beneath those familiar actions exists an enormous world of silent activity occurring constantly beyond awareness. Proteins fold themselves into intricate shapes. Cells communicate chemically across microscopic distances. DNA inside the nucleus of each cell contains instructions built from biological code billions of years old. And throughout the night, while the conscious mind drifts through dreams, the body continues repairing, balancing, regulating, and maintaining itself in darkness. You remain alive, partly because countless systems continue functioning without requiring attention. Life depends on automation. Inside, nearly every human cell exists DNA, a molecular structure carrying genetic instructions used to build and maintain the body. If stretched out fully, the DNA inside a single human cell would measure roughly 6 feet in length. And yet, it folds tightly enough to fit inside structures far smaller than the width of a human hair. Across the entire body, the total amount of DNA becomes almost unimaginable, a hidden library of biological information carried silently inside trillions of microscopic cells. But genes are not fixed commands in the simple way people once believed. Environment matters. Experience matters. Nutrition, stress, sleep, and even social conditions can influence how genes are expressed. Scientists studying epigenetics discovered that life experiences sometimes alter which genetic instructions become more active or less active over time. In other words, the body responds continuously to the world around it. Human biology is not frozen. It adapts. Your muscles also remain active far more often than you realize. Even remaining upright requires constant tiny adjustments from stabilizing muscles throughout the body. Standing still is not truly still. Your nervous system continuously monitors balance, posture, gravity, and tension. Muscles contract subtly to keep the body stable without conscious effort. And during sleep, some muscles finally relax more completely, while others continue working automatically to maintain breathing and circulation. The body never entirely shuts down. It simply changes states. The human brain also consumes extraordinary amounts of energy relative to its size. Although the brain represents only a small percentage of total body weight, it uses roughly 20% of the body's energy. Neurons require constant fuel. Electrical signaling demands enormous metabolic activity. And unlike some tissues, the brain stores very little energy directly. It depends on continuous circulation and oxygen delivery. A brief interruption in oxygen can rapidly affect consciousness. The human mind exists on an astonishingly delicate biological foundation. Consciousness itself also changes more frequently than people notice. The brain does not remain in one stable state throughout the day. Attention rises and falls. Alertness shifts. Mood changes. Memory fluctuates. And every night, consciousness dissolves into sleep before gradually rebuilding itself again by morning. Even waking awareness contains variations. Moments of focus, moments of drifting thought, moments where the mind wanders away from the present entirely. Human consciousness is fluid rather than fixed, always moving, always changing. Pain remains one of the body's most important survival systems. Without pain, humans would struggle to detect injury or danger. Rare neurological conditions that reduce pain perception often create serious risks because people may not notice burns, fractures, or internal damage. And yet, pain itself is not produced directly by injuries alone. The brain interprets signals from the nervous system and constructs the experience of pain. This is why emotional state, memory, fear, and stress can influence how pain feels. The body and mind remain deeply connected, even in suffering. The human body also contains remarkable redundancies and backup systems. You can survive with one kidney. One lung can partially compensate for another. Certain brain regions sometimes adapt after injury by reorganizing functions. Blood clotting systems rapidly activate after damage to reduce blood loss. The body constantly protects itself against instability. Evolution favored organisms capable of surviving interruption and injury long enough to heal. Hair and nails continue growing from living structures beneath the surface of the skin. Hair follicles cycle through growth, rest, and shedding phases over time. Nails form from specialized cells producing keratin, the same protein found in hair and parts of the skin. And because these tissues continue changing gradually, they quietly record aspects of physical history, nutrition, stress, illness, age. The body leaves traces of experience even in its smallest structures. The human face is extraordinarily specialized for communication. Tiny muscles beneath the skin allow humans to produce an enormous range of subtle expressions. A slight tightening around the eyes, a shift in the mouth, raised eyebrows, small changes in facial tension. Humans evolved to interpret these signals rapidly, often unconsciously. The brain begins recognizing emotional expressions almost instantly, long before language. The human face already communicated emotion silently. Your body also produces light, very faintly. Scientists studying biophotons discovered that living organisms emit tiny amounts of ultra-weak light during metabolic processes. Human beings glow constantly at levels far too dim for normal vision. This glow fluctuates with biological activity and circadian rhythms. Invisible light, quietly radiating from living tissue into darkness. The human body is not only chemical and electrical, it is luminous. Inside the ears, tiny hair cells help convert vibrations into sound perception. When sound waves enter the ear, delicate structures move in response to changing pressure. The nervous system transforms those movements into the experience of hearing. voices, rainfall, music, wind, breathing, all become electrical interpretation inside the brain. And once damaged, many of these tiny sensory cells do not regenerate easily. Hearing is both fragile and remarkable. Taste and smell are also deeply interconnected. Much of what humans perceive as flavor actually depends heavily on smell. When illness blocks the nose, food often tastes strangely muted. Chemical receptors throughout the nose and mouth continuously analyze molecules from the environment. The brain then combines these signals into sensory experience. Even memory connects strongly to smell. Certain scents can suddenly trigger vivid recollections from years earlier. A childhood room, winter air, rain, old books. The human brain stores experience in deeply sensory ways. Your blood contains iron. That iron originally formed inside ancient stars long before Earth itself existed. Heavy elements like iron are created through stellar processes occurring deep inside stars and during violent cosmic explosions called supernovas. Eventually, those elements became part of planets, oceans, organisms, and human bodies. The iron moving through your bloodstream tonight is older than humanity, older than Earth. In a very literal sense, the human body contains material forged inside stars. Perhaps that is part of why humans have always struggled to fully understand themselves. We are biological creatures, yet capable of abstract thought, made of ordinary matter, yet aware of our own existence, a living structure of water, minerals, electricity, and memory, able to wonder about consciousness, mortality, dreams, and the universe itself. The body feels familiar because we live inside it every moment. And yet, beneath the surface, it remains astonishingly strange. Now the body grows heavier with rest. Breathing slows softly. The heart continues its quiet rhythm beneath the ribs. Neurons drift through changing patterns of electrical light. And somewhere, deep within the sleeping brain, the strange, living universe of the human body continues unfolding silently in darkness. Inside the human body, communication never stops. Even now, while you rest quietly and listen in the darkness, trillions of signals continue moving between cells. Hormones drift through the bloodstream, carrying chemical instructions. Neurons exchange electrical impulses across microscopic gaps. Immune cells send warning signals during infection or injury. Muscles respond to tiny changes in balance and tension. And deep inside the brain, entire networks remain active, silently coordinating the systems that keep you alive. The body is not controlled by one single command center. Instead, it behaves more like an immense conversation occurring constantly between interconnected systems, a living network of signals, adjustments, reactions, and rhythms. Hormones are among the body's most powerful messengers. Tiny amounts can dramatically influence mood, energy, hunger, stress, sleep, and emotion. Melatonin helps regulate sleep cycles. Cortisol helps the body respond to stress and changing energy demands. Adrenaline prepares the body for rapid action during danger. Oxytocin influences bonding and social connection. Dopamine participates in motivation and reward. And throughout every hour of life, these chemical messengers rise and fall continuously in response to both internal and external conditions. The human emotional experience is deeply biological. Thoughts influence chemistry. Chemistry influences thought. The boundary between emotion and physiology becomes almost impossible to separate completely. Your body also maintains astonishing precision beneath awareness. Blood sugar levels remain carefully regulated. Temperature fluctuates within narrow ranges. Fluid balance shifts constantly. Oxygen and carbon dioxide levels are monitored continuously. Even slight disruptions to these systems can create noticeable physical effects. And yet, most of the time, the body manages these balancing acts automatically without conscious attention. This process is called homeostasis, a state of dynamic balance maintained through endless tiny adjustments. The human body survives not through stillness, but through constant correction. Deep inside the brainstem, specialized structures help regulate some of the body's most essential automatic functions. Breathing, heart rate, blood pressure, sleep cycles. These systems continue operating even while consciousness fades during sleep, which means that every night, humans temporarily surrender awareness while trusting ancient biological systems to continue sustaining life in darkness. You do not consciously command your heart to beat while asleep. You do not manually regulate oxygen levels. The body remembers how to remain alive on its own. Even blinking happens mostly automatically. The average person blinks thousands of times per day, often without noticing. These tiny movements help lubricate and protect the eyes while clearing away debris from the surface. But blinking also briefly interrupts vision constantly. Each blink creates a tiny moment of blindness, and yet The brain smooths over these interruptions so seamlessly that humans rarely perceive them consciously. The nervous system edits reality continuously, not only what you notice, but what you never notice at all. Human hearing also remains active during sleep. Although consciousness changes dramatically while asleep, the brain still monitors sound in the environment. Certain noises may be ignored entirely. Others can wake a sleeping person immediately. Parents often become especially sensitive to the sounds of their children while sleeping. The brain learns which sounds carry importance. Even in sleep, awareness never disappears completely. Part of the nervous system continues standing quietly on watch through the night. Your body also tracks position constantly through systems most people rarely think about. Tiny sensory structures within the inner ear help detect rotation, acceleration, and balance. Specialized receptors in muscles and joints provide information about limb position. This sense is known as proprioception. It allows you to touch your nose with closed eyes, walk without watching your feet constantly, or sense the position of your body in darkness. Without proprioception, even ordinary movement would become disorienting and difficult. The brain continuously builds an internal map of the body's position in space. The human body is also remarkably rhythmic. The heart beats rhythmically. Breathing follows cycles. Sleep occurs in repeating stages. Hormones rise and fall according to daily patterns. Even the digestive system operates through coordinated waves of muscular movement called peristalsis. Life itself depends heavily on rhythm, and perhaps this is one reason rhythmic sounds often feel calming to humans. Rainfall, ocean waves, breathing, heartbeat. Slow, repetitive motion may soothe the nervous system because the body itself already functions through countless internal rhythms. Inside the lungs, millions of tiny air sacs called alveoli allow oxygen exchange to occur. These structures are incredibly delicate. Their combined surface area is enormous, often compared to the size of a tennis court spread throughout the chest. Every breath brings outside air into close contact with the bloodstream through microscopic membranes. Oxygen moves inward. Carbon dioxide moves outward. And this exchange continues thousands of times each day without conscious effort. Breathing feels simple, yet it depends on astonishing biological complexity unfolding invisibly inside the chest. The human sense of touch is also unevenly distributed across the body. Certain areas, like fingertips and lips, contain extremely high concentrations of sensory receptors. Other areas are far less sensitive. This is why tiny textures can feel extraordinarily detailed beneath the fingers. Humans can detect remarkably small surface differences through touch alone. In darkness, the hands become powerful sensory tools capable of interpreting shape, texture, temperature, and movement. Touch connects the body directly to the physical world. The body also changes significantly during sleep. Heart rate often slows. Blood pressure decreases. Body temperature drops slightly. Muscle activity shifts. And during deep sleep, the brain enters synchronized patterns of electrical activity associated with restoration and memory processing. Different stages of sleep appear to serve different biological functions. Some support physical recovery. Others support emotional processing and learning. The sleeping brain remains deeply active even while conscious awareness fades. Sleep is not absence, it is transformation. Dreams themselves remain one of the greatest mysteries in neuroscience. Some theories suggest dreams help process emotion and memory. Others propose that dreaming emerges from the brain, organizing information gathered during waking life. Certain researchers believe dreams may help simulate possible scenarios or rehearse emotional responses, and yet, no theory fully explains the strange vividness of dreams. Entire worlds appearing behind closed eyes, voices, landscapes, memories blending with imagination, moments of fear, wonder, sadness, or joy generated entirely inside the sleeping mind. Every night, the human brain becomes a storyteller. Your immune system also behaves differently during sleep. Certain immune activities increase during rest. The body appears to perform important maintenance and repair processes more efficiently while asleep. This may help explain why illness often feels worse when sleep becomes disrupted. Rest is not laziness within biology. It is necessary restoration. The body repairs itself most effectively when given periods of reduced activity and darkness. The human body is also deeply shaped by evolution stretching across immense spans of time. Structures inside the modern body still carry traces of ancient biological history. The spine reflects adaptation from earlier evolutionary forms. The human hand evolved extraordinary dexterity for tool use and fine manipulation. The nervous system still contains reflexes and survival responses inherited from distant ancestors, fear responses, startle reflexes, protective instincts. Ancient biology still lives quietly beneath modern human consciousness. Even goosebumps are remnants of evolutionary history when humans become cold or emotionally startled. Tiny muscles attached to hair follicles contract. In fur-covered mammals, this reaction helps trap insulating air and make the animal appear larger during threat displays. In humans, the effect remains despite our relatively limited body hair. The body still carries echoes of older forms. The human voice is also one of the most complex muscular behaviors the body performs. Speaking requires coordination between breathing muscles, vocal cords, tongue, lips, jaw, and countless subtle facial adjustments. Tiny changes in vocal tone can communicate emotion immediately. Calmness, fear, warmth, tension, sadness. Humans evolved to interpret vocal patterns with extraordinary sensitivity. The nervous system constantly analyzes the voices of others for emotional meaning. And perhaps most remarkable of all, the human body usually feels ordinary from the inside. People grow accustomed to being alive, to breathing automatically, to seeing, hearing, thinking, remembering, dreaming. But beneath that familiarity exists one of the strangest structures known in the universe. A living network of cells capable of becoming aware of itself. A biological organism able to study its own consciousness. A temporary arrangement of matter capable of love, memory, imagination, and wonder. Now the body grows quieter still. Breathing softens into slow rhythm. The heart continues its endless pulse beneath the darkness. Neurons drift through dim electrical patterns inside the sleeping brain and throughout the silent universe beneath your skin. Trillions of living cells continue their quiet work beneath the surface of awareness. The human body is also constantly rebuilding itself. Although people often imagine themselves as physically stable over time, many parts of the body are in continuous cycles of destruction, replacement, and renewal. Cells die every day. New cells form every day. The lining of the stomach replaces itself rapidly because of constant exposure to digestive acid. Skin cells slowly rise toward the surface before shedding away invisibly into the environment. Blood cells circulate for limited periods before being broken down and replaced. Even parts of the skeleton gradually renew through ongoing bone remodeling. You are not made from exactly the same physical material you were years ago. The body persists partly through continuous change. Inside each cell, tiny molecular machines perform astonishingly complex tasks. proteins fold into precise structures required for life. Molecules move through microscopic channels embedded in cellular membranes. Energy is produced inside structures called mitochondria, often referred to as the powerhouses of the cell. These mitochondria convert nutrients into usable cellular energy through intricate chemical reactions occurring every second. And remarkably, mitochondria carry their own small amount of genetic material separate from the DNA inside the nucleus. Some scientists believe mitochondria originated billions of years ago from ancient microorganisms that formed cooperative relationships with early cells. If true, then part of human life itself emerged from microscopic collaboration so ancient that it predates complex animals entirely. The human body also measures time through more than one internal clock, while circadian rhythms regulate roughly 24-hour cycles. Other biological systems operate on shorter or longer repeating patterns. Heart rhythms fluctuate across the day. Hormone release follows timing patterns. Body temperature rises and falls predictably. Even attention and mental performance change depending on time of day. Certain memories may form more easily during particular periods of wakefulness. Reaction speed changes with fatigue. The body exists within layers of biological timing systems, quietly interacting beneath awareness. Humans often imagine consciousness as separate from biology, yet thought itself changes depending on sleep, light exposure, hormones, nutrition, and exhaustion. The mind floats upon the rhythms of the body. Your sense of hunger is also extraordinarily complex. Hunger is not controlled by one single signal alone. Instead, the brain integrates information from hormones, blood sugar levels, stomach stretching, nutrient availability, stress, habit, emotion, and even smell. This is why humans sometimes eat because of routine, comfort, boredom, celebration, or emotion, rather than physical necessity alone. The body and mind constantly influence one another. Biological needs become woven together with memory, emotion, and behavior. The digestive system itself contains an astonishing amount of coordinated movement. Muscular contractions push food gradually through the body in carefully organized waves. Enzymes break down nutrients into smaller components. The small intestine absorbs vitamins, minerals, fats, proteins, and carbohydrates through vast folded surfaces designed to maximize absorption. If unfolded completely, the inner surface area of the intestines would be enormous compared to the body's external appearance. An entire hidden landscape exists inside the digestive tract. And throughout life, this internal world remains active almost continuously. The human brain also predicts reality constantly. Modern neuroscience suggests that perception is not simply passive observation. Instead, the brain continuously anticipates incoming information and compares predictions against sensory input. This means that your experience of reality partly involves expectation. The brain guesses what the world will look like, sound like, and feel like moments before sensory information fully arrives. Most of the time, these predictions are accurate enough that humans never notice them. But optical illusions reveal how easily perception can be influenced. The brain does not simply record reality like a camera. It constructs interpretations. This construction process becomes especially strange during dreams. During dreaming, the brain often accepts impossible events without question. People fly through the air. Time changes suddenly. Places merge together. Voices appear from memory, and only after waking does the mind recognize how unusual the dream truly was. The dreaming brain creates entire worlds internally, complete with emotion, narrative, movement, and sensory detail. And every night, consciousness willingly enters those shifting dream landscapes again. The human body also reacts strongly to expectation itself. Placebo effects demonstrate that belief can produce measurable physical changes under certain conditions. Pain levels may shift. Symptoms may improve. Stress responses may alter. This does not mean illness is imaginary. Rather, it reveals how deeply connected the nervous system, immune system, endocrine system, and perception truly are. The brain influences the body continuously, and the body influences the brain in return. Your heartbeat also changes subtly depending on emotion and environment. Fear accelerates it. Calmness slows it. Sleep changes its rhythm. Exercise strengthens its contractions. Even breathing influences heart rate through interactions within the autonomic nervous system. The body is not static machinery. It is responsive, dynamic, continuously adjusting itself to both internal and external conditions. Inside the bloodstream, red blood cells travel through the body, carrying oxygen bound to iron-containing molecules called hemoglobin. These cells are remarkably specialized. Mature red blood cells even lose their nucleus in order to maximize space for oxygen transport. Millions move through the circulation every second, delivering oxygen to tissues, removing carbon dioxide, supporting the metabolism of trillions of other cells. And after circulating for several months, many are recycled and replaced. Life continues through cycles of renewal invisible to conscious awareness. Your body also contains remarkable chemical sensitivity. Tiny amounts of certain substances can dramatically influence perception and mood. Neurotransmitters affect emotion and motivation. Hormones alter energy and alertness. Medications influence brain signaling. Even caffeine blocks specific receptors associated with fatigue. The human experience of wakefulness, calmness, fear, joy, and exhaustion emerges partly from chemistry, unfolding continuously beneath thought. One of the strangest facts about the nervous system is that the brain itself exists in complete darkness. Inside the skull, there is no light, no sound, no direct contact with the outside world. The brain never actually touches sunlight, hears music directly, or feels cold air itself. Instead, it receives electrical signals from sensory organs and constructs an internal model of reality. Everything you experience, color, taste, touch, sound, the feeling of being alive, exists as patterns of neural activity interpreted within darkness. The body also remembers trauma physically. Severe stress can alter hormone systems, immune responses, muscle tension, and nervous system activity long after dangerous events have passed. The body learns from experience. Protective reflexes strengthen. Stress responses become sensitized. Certain sounds, smells, or environments may trigger powerful reactions because the nervous system associates them with earlier danger. Memory is not stored only in thought. The body carries history within biology itself. At the same time, the body also possesses extraordinary resilience. Bones heal after fractures. Skin repairs after injury. Neural pathways adapt. Muscles strengthen through repeated use. The immune system learns from past infection. Humans survive because the body constantly attempts restoration after disruption. Life depends not on perfection, but on recovery. Even aging itself is deeply mysterious. Scientists still debate many aspects of why biological aging occurs. Cells accumulate damage over time. DNA repair mechanisms become less efficient. Proteins fold less reliably. Certain cells lose the ability to divide normally. And gradually, the body changes. Hair grays, skin thins, reaction speed slows. Yet, despite aging, the body continues adapting remarkably across decades of life. The human organism remains dynamic from birth until death, always changing, always responding. And perhaps this is part of what makes the human body feel so strange and beautiful at the same time. It is temporary, yet endlessly active, fragile, yet resilient, made of ordinary matter, yet capable of consciousness, memory, imagination, and love. A living structure built from water, minerals, electricity, chemistry, and time, able to look upward at the stars and inward at itself and wonder what it truly means to be alive. Now, the body drifts deeper into rest. Breathing slows into soft, repeating rhythm. The heartbeat echoes quietly beneath the ribs. Electrical patterns dim and shift across the sleeping brain, and somewhere within the silent darkness beneath your skin, trillions of living cells continue their endless work through the night. The human body also exists in constant conversation with the environment around it. Light affects hormones. Temperature affects circulation. Sound affects emotion. Touch affects nervous system regulation. Even the presence of other human beings can alter heart rate, stress levels, and brain chemistry. Humans are not isolated systems sealed away from the world. The body responds continuously to surroundings, often in ways so subtle that consciousness never notices them. A warm room, cold night air, soft lighting, the sound of rain, the feeling of safety beside another person. These experiences become biological events inside the nervous system. One of the most powerful examples of this connection involves sleep itself. The body prepares for sleep partly through environmental cues. Darkness signals the brain to release melatonin. Reduced stimulation slows alertness. Body temperature begins shifting gradually downward. The nervous system transitions toward rest. For most of human history, people slept according to rhythms shaped by firelight, moonlight, seasons, and sunrise. Artificial lighting is relatively new in human history, and modern research suggests the body still carries ancient biological expectations tied to natural cycles of light and darkness. Perhaps this is why soft, warm lighting often feels calming at night, while bright white light can make the brain feel suddenly awake and alert. The nervous system still remembers older rhythms. Human beings are also deeply social creatures biologically. Loneliness affects the body physically. So does affection. Supportive relationships influence stress hormones, immune function, sleep quality, and emotional regulation. The nervous system evolved in groups. Humans survived through cooperation for most of evolutionary history, and traces of that history remain deeply embedded within biology today. Even hearing a calm, familiar voice can reduce physiological stress responses. The body responds to connection. Touch is especially powerful. A gentle hand on the shoulder, holding another person, a parent carrying a child. These experiences trigger measurable biological effects. Heart rate changes, stress hormones decrease, oxytocin increases. The nervous system shifts towards safety and regulation. Long before language, touch already communicated comfort and protection. And even in adulthood, the body still responds strongly to those ancient signals of safety. The human face also evolved extraordinary sensitivity to emotion. People can often detect subtle emotional changes from tiny muscular movements lasting fractions of a second. A slight narrowing around the eyes, a brief tension in the mouth. The nervous system continuously scans faces for emotional information, usually unconsciously. This ability likely helped humans cooperate socially long before modern civilization existed. Your brain constantly reads other humans automatically. Emotion leaves physical traces across the body. Even laughter produces widespread physiological changes. Breathing patterns shift. Muscles contract rhythmically. Heart rate changes. Stress hormones may temporarily decrease, and groups of people laughing together often begin synchronizing emotionally and behaviorally. Laughter is both emotional and biological, a nervous system event shared socially between human beings. The body also stores habits physically. Actions repeated over time gradually become easier and more automatic through neural reinforcement. Walking, typing, driving familiar roads, playing musical instruments, speaking language. At first, these activities may require conscious effort, but eventually, the brain reorganizes itself through repetition. Neural pathways strengthen. Movements become smoother. Conscious attention becomes less necessary. The body learns through repetition. Muscle memory is not actually stored inside muscles themselves. Instead, repeated practice changes the nervous system. The brain and spinal cord optimize movement patterns over time. This is why experienced musicians can play complex sequences automatically, or athletes react rapidly without consciously analyzing every movement. Practice physically reshapes neural efficiency. The body becomes better at what it repeats. Your body also responds strongly to fear, even imagined fear. Watching a frightening scene in a movie may increase heart rate despite no actual danger being present. The nervous system reacts not only to reality, but to perceived reality. This is because the brain evolved to prioritize survival over perfect accuracy. A false alarm is often safer biologically than missing real danger. And so, humans remain highly sensitive to threat detection. Even shadows, sudden sounds, or uncertainty can activate ancient stress responses inside the body. Yet humans also possess remarkable calming systems. Slow breathing can activate parasympathetic nervous system responses associated with rest and recovery. Safe environments reduce stress signaling. Sleep restores emotional balance. Connection reduces physiological tension. The body constantly moves between states of activation and restoration, wakefulness and rest, stress and recovery, alertness and sleep. Life depends partly on rhythm between opposites. The human brain also changes dramatically during childhood. At birth, the brain contains enormous potential for learning and adaptation. Neural connections form rapidly through interaction with the environment. Language exposure shapes communication systems. Experience influences emotional development. Movement strengthens coordination pathways. Childhood brains are extraordinarily plastic, meaning highly adaptable and responsive to experience. Over time, frequently used neural pathways strengthen while others fade. The brain gradually specializes based on life itself. Experience becomes biology. Memory is also surprisingly imperfect. Humans often imagine memories as stable recordings stored permanently inside the mind. But memory reconstruction is dynamic. Each time a memory is recalled, the brain partially rebuilds it. Details may shift subtly over time. Emotion influences recollection. Attention affects what becomes encoded strongly in the first place. The human mind does not preserve the past perfectly. It recreates it continuously. And yet, despite these imperfections, the body and brain together create an astonishing continuity of identity. Across years of physical change, across shifting emotions, across new memories and aging, most people still experience themselves as the same person moving through time. This continuity may be one of consciousness's strangest features. The body changes constantly. Cells replace themselves. Thoughts evolve. Experiences reshape the brain. And still, awareness carries forward through the years like a quiet thread connecting countless changing moments together. Perhaps this is why sleep feels so mysterious. Each night, consciousness loosens, thought fades, dreams emerge. The body enters altered states unlike ordinary waking awareness. And then, each morning, identity reforms again. Memory returns. Language returns. The world returns. The self reappears from darkness once more. Humans experience this cycle thousands of times across life, yet rarely stop to consider how strange it truly is. Meanwhile, beneath your own awareness tonight, the body continues its ancient rhythms quietly in darkness. Blood moves through hidden rivers beneath the skin. Hormones drift through the bloodstream, carrying silent messages. Neurons flicker softly within the sleeping brain. Cells repair tiny injuries accumulated through the day. And deep inside the quiet living universe beneath your skin, the human body continues its endless work through the night. Perhaps one of the strangest truths about the human body is that most of its activity remains completely invisible to the conscious mind. You do not feel your liver filtering blood. You do not sense individual neurons exchanging electrical impulses. You do not notice immune cells traveling through tissues, searching for infection. You do not consciously detect hormones drifting through the bloodstream, altering energy, mood, sleep, and emotion. And yet, these processes continue every second of your life. The body is filled with hidden movement, an entire living universe operating quietly beneath awareness. Even now, while you listen in the dark, millions of cells inside your body are dividing. Proteins are being assembled. Tiny structures inside cells are transporting molecules from one place to another. Electrical signals are moving along nerves toward the brain. The heart continues contracting rhythmically without pause. And somewhere inside the nervous system, the experience you call you continues emerging from patterns of biological activity unfolding in darkness. Consciousness feels singular from the inside, but beneath it exists extraordinary complexity. The human brain also never fully disconnects from the outside world. Even during sleep, the nervous system continues monitoring the environment carefully. Certain sounds may be ignored entirely, while others instantly trigger wakefulness. A parent may sleep through distant traffic, yet awaken immediately at the sound of a child crying. The brain learns what matters, and even in unconscious states, part of the nervous system remains quietly alert, watching, listening, protecting. Dreams themselves may reflect this strange balance between sleeping and waking awareness. During dreams, the brain constructs entire experiences from memory, emotion, imagination, and sensation. The sleeping mind creates landscapes, faces, voices, stories. Sometimes dreams feel fragmented and surreal. Other times they feel intensely real. People may dream of places they have never visited, speak with the dead, relive memories, experience impossible events without questioning them. And throughout all of it, the body remains lying silently in darkness, while the brain generates worlds from within itself. Human consciousness contains the ability to create entire realities internally. Some scientists believe dreams may help regulate emotion. Others believe dreams assist memory consolidation. Certain theories suggest dreams allow the brain to rehearse scenarios or process unresolved experiences. But despite centuries of study, dreaming remains deeply mysterious. Why should the mind create stories during unconsciousness at all? Why should sleeping brains generate imagery, symbolism, emotion, and narrative? No one fully knows. And perhaps that mystery itself is part of what makes dreaming feel so ancient and strange. The body also changes perception depending on emotional state. Fear sharpens attention toward potential threats. Stress narrows focus. Calmness broadens awareness. Exhaustion alters reaction time and memory. The nervous system constantly adjusts how reality feels depending on bodily conditions. This means humans never experience the world completely objectively. Perception changes according to biology. Reality feels different depending on whether the body feels safe, frightened, rested, lonely, exhausted, or calm. The body shapes consciousness continuously. Your heartbeat itself may subtly synchronize with emotion and environment. Studies suggest heart rhythms can become more regular during calm breathing and relaxation. Music influences heart rate. Meditation changes nervous system activity. Even listening to another person speak slowly and calmly can affect physiological state. Human bodies constantly influence one another through voice, movement, expression, and emotional signaling. The nervous system evolved socially. People regulate one another more than they realize. The body also contains astonishing sensory precision. Human fingertips can detect surface textures so fine they approach microscopic scale. The tongue distinguishes multiple taste categories through specialized receptors. The ears detect subtle changes in vibration and pitch. The eyes adapt to enormous differences in brightness between daylight and darkness. And all of these signals must be integrated together into a stable experience of reality. The brain continuously combines information from different sensory systems into one seamless, conscious world. You do not experience vision, sound, smell, and touch separately. The brain merges them into unified awareness. Yet, despite this remarkable integration, human perception remains limited. The eyes detect only a tiny fraction of the electromagnetic spectrum. The ears hear only a narrow range of frequencies. Many animals sense aspects of reality humans cannot perceive directly. Some birds navigate partly through Earth's magnetic field. Certain fish detect electrical signals in water. Dogs perceive scent information at astonishing levels beyond human ability. The world humans experience is not complete reality itself. It is only the narrow slice human biology evolved to perceive. Time itself also feels strangely flexible within the mind. Moments of danger may feel slowed down. Childhood summers sometimes seem endless in memory. Long waits feel stretched. Pleasant experiences pass quickly. Dreams can appear to contain hours of experience within minutes of sleep. The human brain does not experience time mechanically like a clock. Perception of time changes according to emotion, attention, novelty, and memory. And because memory shapes the feeling of duration, life itself can seem to accelerate with age as fewer experiences feel completely new. The mind measures time partly through change. The body also responds strongly to ritual and routine. Regular sleeping patterns influence circadian rhythms. Repeated habits reduce cognitive effort. Familiar nighttime rituals may help signal safety and rest to the nervous system. Throughout history, humans developed evening routines around firelight, storytelling, prayer, music, or quiet social connection before sleep. The body responds deeply to rhythm and repetition. Perhaps this is why calming rituals feel comforting across cultures and centuries. The nervous system finds stability in patterns. Inside the immune system, cells possess the remarkable ability to distinguish between the body's own tissues and foreign threats. This recognition process is extraordinarily complex. Immune cells identify bacteria, viruses, damaged cells, and abnormal biological activity through intricate molecular signaling. Most of the time, these defenses function silently without awareness. Tiny biological battles are constantly won beneath the surface of consciousness. Your body protects you continuously without asking for attention. And yet, sometimes, the immune system becomes confused. Autoimmune diseases occur when the body mistakenly attacks parts of itself. The same defense systems designed for protection begin damaging healthy tissue. This reveals something important about biology. The systems keeping humans alive are powerful, but imperfect. The body is not a machine engineered flawlessly from outside. It is the result of evolution, adaptation, compromise, and survival across immense spans of time. Human biology is astonishing, but also fragile. Aging reveals this fragility slowly. Over time, cells accumulate molecular damage. Repair systems become less efficient. Telomeres, protective structures associated with chromosomes, gradually shorten during repeated cellular division. Proteins fold less reliably. Tissue elasticity changes, and the body slowly transforms year after year. Yet, despite aging, many biological systems continue functioning remarkably well for decades. The heart keeps beating. The lungs continue breathing. The nervous system adapts continuously. The body persists through extraordinary ongoing maintenance. Memory and identity also persist despite constant physical change. A child becomes an adult. The adult becomes elderly. Cells replace themselves countless times. Experiences reshape the brain continuously. And still, some thread of selfhood continues across time. Humans wake each morning believing they are the same person who fell asleep the night before, even though the body has already changed slightly during the night itself. This continuity of identity may be one of consciousness's deepest mysteries. Perhaps this is why humans have always searched for meaning inside the body. Ancient civilizations studied breath, heartbeat, dreams, and consciousness with fascination. Philosophers questioned the relationship between mind and matter. Religions explored the soul. Scientists examined nerves, organs, cells, and chemistry. Across history, humanity repeatedly returned to the same central mystery. What does it mean to be alive? How can matter become awareness? How can a biological organism experience beauty, grief, memory, wonder, and love? No answer has ever fully solved the mystery, and perhaps no answer ever will, because even now, after all modern science has discovered, the human body remains astonishing. A living structure built from ancient stardust, powered by electrical activity, guided by chemical signals, held together through memory, rhythm, and fragile biological balance, able to dream, able to imagine, able to look inward and question its own existence. And now, slowly, the body begins drifting deeper toward rest. Breathing softens, thoughts grow quieter. The heartbeat continues its steady rhythm beneath the darkness. Electrical patterns dim and shift gently across the sleeping brain. The muscles loosen. The nervous system settles. And somewhere far beneath conscious awareness, the endless living universe inside your body continues quietly unfolding through the night.